Hi, everyone. Welcome to Keto Confab. It is Wednesday night, November the 17th, I believe. Yes, November the 17th. And we're here together to support each other with our wisdom about keto and our humanness in how we're doing on our keto. So last week, I ended by saying that we were going to focus on fat. How do you put fat into your diet and everything for this week? And so I'll start. For me, I have had a long history of issues with all milk products and beef, and it causes a lot of health issues for me. So I can't use fatty beef or beef fat for my fats. Butter, milk, cheese, whipping cream, all these sorts of things are also out of my fat getting areas. And I also can't eat chicken, including the skin, or turkey, um, or lamb, or goat, or all sorts of things. So I'm down to fish, which isn't very fatty. And about 10 years ago, through some testing, we found that pork actually worked for me with protein. And so for the last 10 years, I've been eating pork. So I do eat a lot of bacon. This is my preferred bacon. It's all natural, no hormones and stuff. I eat about 6 of these strips a day. And because Dr. Boz suggested it, I actually eat pork liver, the Braunschweiger, if that's the way. We bought one of these and it took me 3 months to taste it for the first time because I thought, ew.
Ew.
But I actually, what I like to do, I like to bake my bacon, put it on a cookie sheet with some silver foil and bake it so it's all nice and flat and crispy and stuff. But that gives off a lot of bacon grease. So when I'm done baking my bacon, I cut up a package of the Braunschweiger and I put it in that bacon and I turn it around and get it all coated in the bacon fat. And then I bake that. And then I put it in the fridge. And when I want to eat it, I take it out piece by piece. Now, the Braunschweiger has 14 grams of fat for every 2-ounce serving. And this is 5.5 servings. I usually cut it thinner than 2 ounce, so like 2 ounces is 2 little patties for me. But that's pretty good. For 2 ounces, you get 14 grams of fat. This stuff's good. I like to eat it on a salad. I'll crumble it up. I'll warm it again and then crumble it up on a salad. I'll eat it with eggs. I'll even put it in my tuna because tuna's got great protein and great vitamin D and other things, but it just doesn't have any fat. So I'll put it in my tuna. Now, here recently, you've heard my husband talk about how he was having trouble with milk products, but recently he's not having trouble with milk products. I found that there are a few milk products now that I've been on keto for almost a year, there are a few milk products I tolerate. I don't get a problem with. And one of those is brick cheese. Now it has to be brick cheese. If it's shredded cheese and they put that anti-stick stuff on it, nope, I have trouble. And this is 1 ounce, you get 9 grams of fat. So I usually will eat this in 1 ounce chunks. And this is like a treat or a snack for me. Because, if I get nibbly, I want something to nibble, this is what I'm going to nibble on. Also recently, I found a brand of sour cream that doesn't cause my nose to just run and run and my sinuses to fill. And this one's lovely because you get 5 grams of fat for 2 tablespoons. So you can have all that yummy sour cream yumminess and you still get 5 grams of fat for only 1 carb. And I'm like, that's worth it,
Great.
to put on a salad, since salad dressings, me and salad dressings don't get along. And then I used to love this Laughing Cow cheese, spreadable cheese, but then it started causing me problems. And I stopped eating it. But recently I found that I can eat this. And these come in little wedges. And each one of these wedges, little wedge, is 4 grams of fat and only 1 carb. And I'm like, deliciousness, Now, a lot of people will use butter. Butter still causes problem with me, so I can't use butter to fry with. I can't use olive oil. It causes a lot of swelling and fluid retention in me, so I can't do that. Maybe with more keto, longer I'm on keto, I'll be able to get olive oil back. But right now I can't. Occasionally, I'll have a hankering for olives themselves, which are good and fatty. And when I do, I usually will chop them up and mix them in one of these. Nice fatty little snack. And so I usually cook. I know seed oils are bad. But the only oil that doesn't cause a problem with me is safflower oil. And I try to use bacon grease. I hate lard, cannot stand the smell of lard. And I hate a lot of other pork dishes. Like just a second. I never ate pork for the first 49 years of my life. Never, not a bite of it. And I have had a great problem transitioning into eating pork since it's the only meat I can eat besides fish, because I have a problem if I don't get enough protein. And what happens to me if I don't get enough protein is my heart races. And that happened to me this morning. My heart was racing and I was sleeping and it woke me because my heart just started racing 1:30. I wasn't even out of the bed. I hadn't done anything. I was snoozing away. It was at 1:30 and it's very uncomfortable and it goes on for quite a while until I can get some protein into me. And so I had tuna and bacon right away because tuna is very protein rich. But what happens with me is I didn't eat enough protein yesterday. I had to travel somewhere and I forgot to take my bacon, cooked bacon with me, and I did not get enough protein. So if I get anywhere less than 60 grams of protein a day, my heart will race. And so I have to be I have to eat protein. But a lot of the cuts of meat you'll get in the store, they cut off all the fat, or like all the hamburger is lean hamburger. Now, Julie, do you slaughter your own cows, right, to get your beef?
Well, not anymore, but we have
Okay,
people that we get beef from, farm raised
okay,
beef.
okay. Because well, Julie was one, but I had another friend south that was raising organic beef, and she would slaughter a cow for us and then she would have it ground so we could have all the fat and everything. But she's not doing beef anymore either. So anyway, so that's my
But
story.
if you need some, I have got connections.
Well, our problem is Scott doesn't eat beef either. It seems to give him a problem. And so he and Sarah and Hannah have pretty much gone to turkey.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
got lots of fat in that.
sure, sure it does. Anyway, So that's the end of my fat story. I mean, what I eat for fat, not how fat I am. But I'm a whole lot less fat than I used to be. Go ahead,
I can
Patricia.
attest, I can
Can I
tell you
ask-
that.
Can
Yes,
I ask a question?
sure.
Did you say something about nuts? What about nuts?
The only nuts that I can eat are sesame. So I do have sesame butter.
Mm.
And that one was quite a trial finding a good sesame butter because so many of them taste rancid. I mean, you
Yeah.
open the jar and you smell it and they smell rancid. It's disgusting. But I have finally found a totally sugar-free, oil-free, because that's the other thing. They want to add all these seed oils in. I don't know how many sesame
But what about
butters.
raw nuts like almonds, pistachio?
No, I can't. Mm-mm. They cause breathing problems.
Oh,
Yep.
histamine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the peeling nuts. If you want a fat nut, the peeling nut's one of the best.
Yeah.
You
Can't.
ever had those?
Yeah, I have, and they cause the breathing problems. So, yeah, and
Let me
you
just
know,
tell y'all that don't know Becky, she's one strange duck.
yes, I am.
I've never heard of a peeling nut.
Peely.
Peely.
Oh, peely.
Yeah,
P-I-L-I. Yeah,
I don't know if I've heard of that either.
they're warming
Peely.
They're
and
like eating
lung
butter.
strengthening. Yeah, they are
Really?
quite tasty, and people like to put them like in rice pilaf dishes and stuff, or you could put them in cauliflower pilaf dishes, if you want. But yeah, the only nut or seed I can eat is sesame, and I can have the white sesame or the black sesame.
Mhm.
And but I have not found any black sesame butter that is not mixed with like sunflower oil or something. I
Mm.
tried cashew butter. Oh, is that yummy or what? Um, and it's nice
That's
and
a lot of
fatty.
carbs.
Yeah, but it's a lot of carbs
Mhm.
and also causes breathing problems. So, okay, never mind. Now Scott is a nut freak. He has a lot of fresh nuts here in the house. He munches on them all day. He's a muncher, and that's his munch thing. You want to tell us about nuts and what you do for fat,
Yeah.
Scott?
So, yeah, talking about fat, the other thing is Dr. Boz does some discussion in her book about, you should get enough fats and you might run into problems if you get too much protein, or if your ratio of protein to fat is too high, I've never run into that problem, though maybe it's because I eat a good deal of fat. But anyway, nuts generally have, just in general, they have, quite a bit of fat. For example, I just have a few containers here, like peanuts, peanuts for 1 ounce of peanuts, you get 15 grams of fat and 8 grams of protein. So you're getting almost, so 15 grams of fat and 8 grams of protein. You're getting almost twice as much fat as protein. And then with pumpkin seeds. With pumpkin seeds, it's very similar. It's 15 grams of fat and 9 grams of protein. So
Well, I noticed
So-
with pumpkin seeds though, is it pumpkin seeds? Yeah, that the carbs are kind of high.
actually with these pumpkin seeds, it's not really. In every ounce of pumpkin seed, you get just 3 grams of carbohydrate.
Oh, okay. Because Amanda had some in the shell. Maybe that's why. If they're shelled, they maybe aren't so bad.
Yeah, these are
I
out
think-
of the shell, by the
Oh,
way.
because I think it was, yeah, because I think it was like 9 grams of carbs per ounce in the shell.
Okay. And then just as comparison with peanuts, you get 4 grams of carbs. So you actually get a little bit more carb with peanuts than you do with pumpkin seed anyway. But sunflower seed, and I really like sunflower seed. And now these are out of the shell as well, but sunflower seed has 15 grams of fat, just like the other two, but it's got 6 grams of protein, which means it's got, more than twice the amount of fat as it is protein. And then you do get 6 grams of carbohydrate though. The nice thing about sunflower seeds is that they've got a lot, you get a lot more nutrients with sunflower seeds ounce per ounce than with almost any other nut or seed.
Oh, really? I love
Yeah.
sunflower seeds, but I quit using them.
Yeah. Almonds are pretty good as well. I didn't get those out though, but and then no, some people eat cashews, but I think, but they say that I've heard that you should steer away clear of cashews because I think they have too much omega-6 oil, or I forget exactly what it is about cashews. Pistachios are good, but I think pistachios have even more carbohydrate than the things that I'm looking at now. So basically, in terms of nuts / seeds, I guess, I eat a lot of peanut, a lot of sunflower seed and pumpkin seed every day. And, you get a lot of, there's a lot of nutrients, a lot of different types of nutrients in them. And like I mentioned last week, every ounce of these nuts has more nutrients in than pretty much any vegetable you could think of other than spinach and kale. So, not only are you getting, a good source of fat and protein, but you're also getting a lot of your needed nutrients as well. And then fish in general, fish gives you lots of omega-3, which is really good. Lots of omega-3 and not very much of omega-6. And you have to make sure that you're getting more omega-3 than omega-6 every day. And so, but Chronometer helps you with that. That's one of the reasons that Chronometer is so great. But anyway, fish, and like Becky mentioned, fish is a great source of protein, but not really that much fat very often. And especially, salmon and tuna. Salmon and tuna are very lean. There's hardly any fat with them. But if you get into mackerel and cod and a few others, I don't know, those of you who are catfish fans, I think they might have more fat, but I'm not really sure. You'd have to look up catfish. Look it up on Chronometer. They probably have catfish on Chronometer. But anyway, so then in terms of fat, those of you who can eat dairy, well, butter, heavy whipping cream, cheese, all sorts of things, it's just that you have to watch the cheese, because cheese may lead to constipation problems. But the dairy in general, now if you're drinking milk though, you have to watch milk because that has a good amount of carb. But if you drink heavy whipping cream, that actually has very little carb, a lot of fat, and it doesn't taste as sweet as milk, but it's it's a very smooth texture. I just love the texture of heavy whipping cream.
I tell you,
Anyway,
my son-in-law just drinks heavy whipping cream.
Really? Sometimes I do that too. It's a bit expensive though, but it's yeah, it's great. Walmart usually has a good price on heavy whipping cream.
Ours in the store says 40% whipping cream, and I'm curious what else is in it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but and then now half and half is has a better fat content than whole milk, but half and half has a good deal of carb. So the real advantage of heavy whipping cream is that there's very little carb in it. And then of course, butter, butter has 0 carb. So, butter is really great because you're getting that fat, but there's no carb with it. So if you find that your ratio of protein to fat is a bit high, if you find that you're getting too much protein and not enough fat, if you just add more butter to your diet, those of us who can, butter might be a good way to do it. And then of course, when they talk about fats, they talk about avocados, because avocado is probably the only fruit that has substantial fat in it. And so
That's
so
what I
Sarah
have
and
for
I,
breakfast every morning is
Yeah.
is an entire avocado.
Yep. And you can, I don't know, some people salt it, or I know one guy who actually he opens up a can of sardines and has a can of sardines and one fresh avocado and mixes them together. I haven't tried that yet. I've been meaning to try that, but supposedly it tastes good. It's kind of like back when I was a kid, and one of my friends was eating a peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich, and it just sounded gross to me. But
Ew.
I tried it and it was really good.
Oh,
Too bad I can't have it now, but it's really good.
Whoever just said ew, I am all with you. That sounds just nasty.
yeah.
Well, we should try it. Sardine and avocado.
But then I like avocado mayonnaise. I used to use that on bread with a little bit of salt. I
Oh,
like
really? Oh, I don't know if I've ever had avocado mayonnaise, but I mean, as long as they don't add a lot of carb to it, we could still have avocado mayonnaise,
I mean, I like avocados and I like sardines. So avocados and sardines to me actually would not be necessarily a bad mix.
It may not, yeah, it may not be a bad combination. Avocados, to me, avocados are kind of, they're not really, they don't really have a very strong taste either way. And so you could probably mix them with a number of different things.
Sounds good to me.
And then olives as well. Olives are another, it's high in fat, and so olives are good too, a good source of fat.
I like getting mine also from sun butter, which is made from sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
It's got like 17 grams of fat in it. I'm like, going, holy smokes.
Do they add a lot of carb to that?
No, there's not as much
Okay.
carb, but you do have to be careful on what brand you buy. And I kind of faltered on this. Make sure you read that label, because one of the brands that I bought actually has added sugar to it. The organic one did not, but the other one did, and I didn't read my label before I bought it, but it was, to me, even better than peanut butter. And I've loved having peanut butter inside celery strips, kind of as my snack at the end of the day. But peanut butter typically has been tearing up my stomach for the past, probably 10 years. And I found that I was sensitive to peanuts, not allergic, just sensitive to them. But the sun butter didn't do that. It doesn't upset my stomach at all.
Have you tried almond butter?
Yeah, I'm just not too keen on the flavor.
Okay. Yeah.
And it
again, I don't know how much carb is
as
added
well
to
on
it,
my celery.
Yeah. Right. And then, speaking of avocado, if anyone's a fan of guacamole, I don't know how much carb is in guacamole, but I've been meaning to check that.
it's
sometime.
not bad. It's like 3 grams for a fourth of a cup.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. So in moderation, avocado would be, or guacamole would be good.
And there's brands that you can buy that are pre-made, but they also have individual little cups of avocado that's pureed already. So you don't have to have it go bad for you, because.
And you can just make your own guacamole.
Yeah. And then you can use your own mayo and whatever.
Yeah. I'll have to look for that. Oh, it sounds great.
They're little cups. They're probably about that big. Okay. And then you don't have the rotting avocado before you get to use it all either. That's my problem.
Well, the other thing about avocado, though, is that Walmart sells chopped avocado, frozen chopped avocado.
Oh.
And so, and so that's great, because if you use a lot of, I use the equivalent of about 1 avocado every day, and then Sarah eats the equivalent of maybe a half an avocado every day, and so. But we've actually bought the frozen avocado from Walmart, and you don't have the, with avocados, there's, you got to wait until it's ripe, and then, And yeah, and then it'll get too ripe, because there's about a maybe 3 to 4 day window in there where, it's got to be. So when I was using fresh avocados, I was actually, when I bought them in the store, I bought some of them that were not squishy at all, others that had a little bit of give, and others that had a lot of give, so that as they come,
you're not
I would
too sure
use them as come ripe, and I'm able to time that pretty well. But with the frozen, you don't even have to,
Oh, you can freeze your own too. All you have to do is scoop it out of the shell if it starts to get ripe. Just scoop it
Yep.
out, and once
Really?
it's peeled, you just put it
Yeah, I
right in a
was-
Ziploc bag and put it in the
so you
freezer.
don't
But
have
you,
to,
I was
you
just
don't have
getting
to
ready to
blanch it
say
or
the
anything.
same
It
thing.
just, yeah, good.
And if you're not too sure how to tell if an avocado is ripe or not, the ones that are more green on the outside, those are what are called fresh. You want to wait until they turn almost a black color on the outside. The darker the color on the outside, the more ripe it is. But
Okay.
you also got to get careful, because if you get them really black, then they have already started rotting on the inside, which
Right.
is
Yep.
not good.
Yeah, Scott and Sarah are very into avocado, and I started keto eating egg avocado each day and eating olive oil, using olive oil for all my oil needs and everything. And then that's when I found out that I can't eat avocado and I can't eat olive oil because they cause swelling problems. So y'all can have all the avocados you want. It doesn't cause a breathing problem or a heart rate problem for me. So I will taste or eat a little avocado or a little olive every now and then, but they are great sources for fats.
One of my
So
other favorite ways, Becky, is to get have bacon in the morning or in the afternoon if I haven't had it for morning.
yeah. So we're going to go to Julie and see if Julie has any other little tricks or tips up her sleeve.
Well, the peely nuts I mentioned before, you can go on Amazon and buy a variety pack of different flavors. It's I think there were 6 of them, but I personally really just like the salted ones the best. But they are one of the things for me that is like, okay, that about 1/4 of a cup is about all I want to eat, because they're so rich. They're just like eating a stick of butter almost. And I don't know if any of you have experienced them. They're a little bit spendy, but on the same
How do you
hand,
spell that? How do you spell it?
Pili,
Oh,
peely nut. Yeah, and
never heard of it.
it's from the Philippines. They go up on ropes and they harvest them, and then they actually sprout the nut, and then they dehydrate it or roast it. But I prefer, I mean, you can get some with rosemary, some with that are spicy with some kind of chili pepper and stuff, but I just prefer the salted ones. I use a lot of butter, milk, cream. I get teased every day at work because I put butter in my coffee. People are like, "You're so weird." I'm like, "Yep, that's true." And so then I've been trying to get off of my Prilosec, or Prevacid it is now, but I've been on that since I had cancer 17 years ago every day, and I just am having terrible time with heartburn every time I try to go off. So I'm trying to figure that out. That's one of the things that I've been working on lately, but not doing so good with that.
Have you considered trying some acupuncture to help with it? Because I treat a couple of patients for acid reflux and that type of thing, too much acid, using acupuncture points and doing acupuncture on them to help with what's called a rebellious stomach channel or a rebellious spleen channel, which is what's feeding into that.
Oh, no, I've not tried it for that. No.
Hey,
Yeah.
Julie, I looked up the peely nuts on the chronometer. They're good. An ounce of them gives you 22.4 grams of fat and 3.3 grams of protein and only 0.5 of a carb.
Yeah, they're a great resource for fat,
Wow.
but you can't eat too
Wow.
many of them. Well, I can't eat too many of them at one setting because you're like, yeah, okay, that's good. We're good on that right now.
Wow.
But I also use avocados. I do like nuts. My favorite is probably almonds, but you can also use pecans and walnuts as well. Walnuts are probably higher than pecans if that's what you prefer. But I drink the cream and butter in my coffee, and I don't know that if I don't have my coffee, I don't get my fats. I just have a hard time getting it. So, cheese. Like today, I even had a hard time eating my one meal a day. I was just not hungry. So I said, well, maybe I need to fast longer. I'm not sure. Because I'm doing actually a 4-hour window. So I start about 8 and I finish by noon, but I wasn't hungry. So I don't know. I don't know how to get all that fat in one meal. That's questionable, Becky. How do you do that?
Don't look at me.
Anybody do that? Do one meal? How do you get all your fat in that one meal?
Well, for me, if I'm having just one meal, if I'm going OMAD, then I usually have a very fatty pork steak, which usually gives me like 40 grams of fat because it still has the visible fat on it. And then I'll either add a few strips of bacon to that or some of the Braunschweiger or a couple of eggs to it, and
I don't eat pork, so
yeah.
that's
Well,
it's
but a
out for
beef
me.
steak would do the same thing if the fat is visible,
Yeah.
because I'm talking about like a 6 to 8 ounce steak, and a beef steak would probably do the same. I don't know. Anybody else have any other ideas of if you're OMAD, getting all your fats in? With Chronometer, with the amount of calories I allow myself and the amount of carbs I allow myself, it tells me I have to have 65 grams of fat, or I should, to make it all balanced and everything. So that's what I usually shoot for in a day. And if I get my 65 grams of fat in a day, then my ketones will definitely be over 1 the next day. If I don't get them, they're always under 1.
Hmm.
And then if I fast on top of that, they keep going while I'm fasting. My ketone numbers get higher. That's what I've
Becky,
noticed.
I'm kind
Go
of
ahead.
curious, what is the highest your ketones have ever been?
My personal ketones.
Uh-huh.
I run very low in the ketone department, probably because I have so much glucose or glycogen reserves on me.
Okay, I do too.
And so my ketones, the highest they've ever been is 4.6.
Woo.
Wow.
I've not gotten there yet.
But that was a 48-hour fast. But I was drinking collagen bone broth because I have to have the protein or I get into the heart racing issue, like I said before.
I don't
So
know if it's my screen only or if it's yours, but everything is frozen pretty much.
I think
Yeah,
it's
you went
just you.
black.
No,
That's
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
I
So
also use avocados, mayonnaise. I don't trim my fat off of my steaks anymore if I get a steak at the restaurant or whatever. And I try to buy, if I am buying one, I try to buy a very marbled piece of meat, and try to get that meat that's got that visible fat in there.
mhm.
I'll go to the restaurant in town here. I'll order a steak and a side of broccoli, and I'll ask for 3 ranch and a pack of mustard, and that's how I eat when I
Mhm.
go out.
Yeah, my steak, I usually just like it with salt. I don't put anything on it, but yeah. But
Ranch dressing
anyway,
and mustard is good.
I can't have either. So see,
Yeah.
my life sucks, okay? In the
Yeah,
food
me and
department.
mustard don't get along either. So I'm there with you, Becky, at least on mustard.
Yeah. I'd
Can
love
we
to have some
clarify,
ranch.
Elizabeth, can we clarify this? Is your name Elizabeth or Becky?
My name is Elizabeth, but my nickname is Becky. And so Julie, Renee, and Scott all know me as Becky because we're buds, you know?
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
we're
I
not
initially
buds,
met
so
her and it was
we can't
Becky.
call you Becky or what?
Well, you
I
can
thought
call
they were
me
saying
Becky.
Betty,
Oh,
because Betty is a nickname for Elizabeth. So it's
Yeah.
Becky, but Elizabeth will do too.
yeah. It is fine with me if you call me Becky. It's just, my name on the screen, from the Zoom thing is Elizabeth, because that's what my account's in, because that's my professional name,
I'll be right
so,
back.
okay. Sorry to confuse everyone. Yes, I
Oh,
have
well, I started
aliases.
it. It's all my fault. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm so used to
let
calling you
me
that.
clarify. Let me clarify. I lived in Germany for 7 years.
Uh-huh.
And if you're on a personal relationship with people, they call you Patricia or Patricia. But
Patricia.
otherwise, I was Frau Smith.
Yeah, Frau Smith.
Smith. And
Mhm.
I got so tired of that. I'm sure you lived in Spain or Portugal, didn't you?
Spain
You have
and
the same
Japan.
thing.
Mhm. See,
So-
the whole thing happened when I was living in Japan while I was still single and, ready to mingle and everything. The problem is the Japanese don't have all of the sounds to make the name Elizabeth. So my
Ah.
name was butchered in Japan.
Elizabeth.
Arizabesu. Arizabesu. And it's like, I cannot listen to that the whole time I'm here because I lived there for more than a year, working professionally. And so they said, well, what would you like to be called? And there was an old high school boyfriend who called me Becky. So
There you go.
it was Becky. So, and the Japanese have a Becky, in their lettering, their phonation of their language. And so I became Becky. But then when I went and lived in Spain, all of the Spanish Elizabeths are Ellie. And so I became Ellie. And for a while, when I worked for a group of orthopedic surgeons, I went by Ellie because the doctor said, when we're yelling down the hallway for you, I'm not calling Elizabeth, I'm yelling, Ellie, get in here. So, and I went by Ellie for a while here in North Dakota, but I've been sticking to Elizabeth anymore. But you guys can call me Becky. I really don't care. I used to joke around just as long as you don't call me late for supper, but now it's probably best for you not to call me for supper.
Late or early.
Yeah,
So,
late or early. I'll figure out my own supper.
I'm kind of curious with Thanksgiving coming up in 10 days. What are most people's eating plans for Thanksgiving? I know that, like, for instance, I can still eat my turkey, which I love. And but the other traditional, a lot of the other traditional stuff is off limits. However, I have found some great keto alternative recipes that are supposed to make some of those same things that taste like that, but aren't that, if that makes any sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
Renee, it's a good topic, and I know we're 8 days away from Thanksgiving, but I was going to save
true.
that for next Wednesday night to find out what everybody's plan for the next day when the descent of the pies comes on
My
us,
bad.
because everywhere you go for Thanksgiving, there are pies. And pies are my nemesis. I like them very much. They don't happen to like me so much, but so that was my plan for next week. Now you've gone and spoiled it, Renee. Just spoiled it.
Well, I've
Well,
been watching a lot of those videos today. That's what made me think of it.
yeah. So let's move on to Patricia or Jenny. Do you guys have any more ideas about fat, or what do you do about fat?
I'm not a good example for anybody. I really fell off the wagon around May, I heard about this Marty Kendall and the data-driven fasting, and I don't want to even turn your guys' heads about it, but basically his concept is, it's not so good to be high in ketones, and so you need to get the proteins high and get the fat down. And so I tried for a month or two to play that game where less fat and more proteins.
And how did that go for you?
Not good. Not good.
Okay.
And then I actually, on the Dr. Boz forum, I kept saying, where did she say we had to eat all this fat? And they said, well, it's right there in the chronometer. I said, well, I know the chronometer said it, but I never heard Dr. Boz say that we had to eat all that much fat. And it really, for me, maybe I was tuned out, but for me, she never really clarified about how the fat, I know I read the book about how the fat has to stay high in order for the insulin not to start storing fat away.
Well, Patricia, I think you're right. I think Dr. Boz actually, I've recently rewatched her playlist for beginners. She has a playlist of videos on YouTube for beginners in keto. I think she actually purposely stays away from giving you a number of how much fat you should eat. I think she hedges that. She doesn't want to go near
because it varies.
Telling anybody how much fat they should eat. I think her most important thing is getting those carbs down to 20. Remember, the number 20 is what she says all the time. And if you get it down there, and she also talks about not having too much protein. She's the one, she's how I set my protein on my chronometer, because she said the best thing is, if you're trying to lose weight, figure out what your ideal weight is, cut that number in half, and then make that your protein goal. So I want to be 160. Okay, so half of that's 80. So that's my protein goal. I also know, because of this heart thing I got going on, that if I drop below 60 grams of protein a day, my heart will race, and I don't like that. So I try never to drop there, but of course I dropped the ball yesterday. I barely got 40 yesterday. I think she gives I think she gives an idea about protein and an idea about carbs. And she thinks that naturally, if you follow those two recommendations, your fat is going to even out, because nobody's going to eat all their protein in butter. Nobody's going to eat all of their protein. Are you, Julie? Nobody's going to eat all their protein in just fat off a fatty beef steak or pork steak or something. And nobody's going to eat all their protein in Braunschweiger. I mean, how much protein's in that? I forget. I don't eat it for the protein. But the other thing is, she has talked about excessive proteins causing problems with the kidneys. So you got to be careful with those. Even if you don't have kidney disease, she says excessive proteins can be bad on the kidneys. And that's one reason she gives for not using the protein powders, because you can mix up them shakes and they've got 40 grams of protein and and then you're eating your other things that are protein, and you can get to 120, 200 grams of proteins pretty fast if you're supplementing with shakes and stuff. So let's see what the Braunschweiger has.
I have two more things I wanted to say about fat.
Okay.
So I went to the doctor in March, and he said, well, your cholesterol's getting pretty high. Maybe we ought to start thinking about a statin. I said, no, I don't want to do any statins, doctor. And I said, how about let's do one of those CAC tests? And he looked at me like, oh my gosh, he knows about CAC. So
Mhm.
he said, okay. He said, that's another good way of knowing if you have a problem with cholesterol. So
Uh-huh.
I did the CAC test and I got a 0 on it. So that's not going to be a problem for me. But, and by the way, it did cost $100, but it only took 2 minutes. It only takes
Really?
2 minutes. And I
Now,
had
is it a blood draw?
no, it's an MRI kind of a thing. You
It's
go
But it
under.
takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's just in and out.
Really?
But no kidding. I didn't even have to take my whole blouse off. But so then I talked to my husband about it. And you see, my husband has 3 uncles that had massive heart attacks when they were in their 40s. He says, Patricia, you have a different history than I have. You don't have any heart attacks in your family.
Mhm.
So, it's just different. People have different situations. And like he is so afraid of eating high fat. I try to serve it and he cuts it away. He said, I can't eat all this fat. I can't eat all. One more thing I wanted to say though is tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh, happy
And my
birthday.
sister sent me a very nice check. And so I went right to the store and bought 2 pounds of lobster meat.
Wow. I've never had lobster.
And
Oh
we had
God, it's
lobster.
fantastic.
You can have it, shipped in from Maine
Mhm.
at our grocery store. And
Wow.
we both had a very nice lobster with garlic butter today for lunch.
The only thing you eat lobster for is butter. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
But it was
Wow.
delightful. And that's, a very nice low carb dish.
Mhm.
Well, I want to tell you a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
No.
Happy birthday to you.
No,
Happy
that's
birthday,
Happy
dear
birthday. God bless
Patricia.
you. Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to you.
you.
Thank you.
There you
Thank you.
Or you
go.
eat like that. My dog is singing too.
Aw. Hey, he can come and sing with me anytime he wants. I like 4-legged, tenor
Beasties.
voices with me.
Hey, Patricia, has your husband ever gone and had the CAC test done or the?
No, I did
CAC?
read quite a bit about it, and they said that since in his past, the doctor already had him on statins, that the minute you get statins in your system, that CAC test goes out the window, doesn't
Oh.
work right.
Oh, really?
It puts some residue in there that messes up the test.
Oh,
Forever?
man.
I don't know, but
Hmm.
Oh,
So Becky,
because, yes, go ahead.
so you were saying that your protein should be half of your ideal weight, right?
Right.
So if my ideal weight is 30, then it's like what, 75?
130, 50,
65.
65.
65. Mm-hmm.
So then should your fat be what your ideal weight is? If you're going to go by that ratio?
Well,
No, your fat should be much higher than that.
yeah. No,
Your fat should be 70%, 70 to 75% of your total calories.
Right.
If you have 20 grams of carbs, that's 4 grams of carbs per 4 calories per gram of carbs. And protein is
80.
4 grams of carbs, 4 grams
Of calories, 4 calories.
4 calories per gram. But fat is 9 calories per gram.
Well,
So
okay, so you can go to the fixed values, you get on the rigorous and it sets it in, and if you're on rigorous, it only gives me 44 grams of protein. But if I set it, if I was to set it to
on the
half that,
chronometer you're
water.
talking about?
Right.
Well, I set my chronometer for 1,200 calories. And this is when I first started, I a lot of times don't make that number in a day, and I don't worry about it because I don't worry about calories, But when I set it for my protein to be at 80, because you can set it to be 80, and I set my calories at 1,200, it
My phone.
gave me the figure of 65 grams of fat was what I needed, and I've just gone off that. I've never thought about it. I just make sure that every time I eat something, it has some sort of fat value to it, that there's fat value added.
Well, I was just wondering because I have 140 grams of fat when I do the rigorous
Uh-huh.
and only 44 grams of protein.
Wow.
So I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm unsure what to think about that. When I first began with Dr. Boz, I would watch her Sunday night thing. It's harder for me on Tuesday nights to get there to her live, but I used to watch the Sunday night lives, and a lot of times on the
Yeah.
comment thing, the chat thing, there were people saying, but how many grams of fat should I eat each day? How many grams of fat should I eat each day? And I'm not even sure, even in the class or the book, she says exactly how many grams of fat you should have every day, because every person is different, you know. Yes, Virginia.
Well, she says in the workbook on chronometer to set it at rigorous, like Julie said.
Right, right.
And my rigorous, see, my ideal weight is 110, although that was my high school weight. I'm not going to make it to that. When I get to 119, I'm going to.
Come on,
But
Jenny, we
but my-
believe in you. Come on, everybody, clap for Jenny. She's
She's
gonna
only
get to
6 pounds
110.
away, don't forget.
I'm only a couple of pounds from that, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
On my rigorous, my protein is 34, but half of that is 50. So I keep mine between 34 and 50. But if my carbs, of course, are 20 or below, and my fat is 59 grams.
Okay.
So, so that's what the chronometer sets for when you set it on rigorous for my age and my ideal weight.
Mhm.
So really, you think the protein, I think that it seems, I kept saying, I think the protein amount is really low, but then I eat between 34 and 50 and I feel, and I'm fine. But the way I get my fat is I make my own avocado mayo with avocado oil.
Mhm.
And it's so easy.
Mhm.
You use the recipe that they have for olive oil mayonnaise on Pinterest, and
Yeah.
you use an immersion blender, and it's like 1 egg to 1 cup of oil and a little bit of mustard and a little bit of lemon juice, and you just go woo, 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 and that's it. And it makes it in like a minute.
For your mayonnaise.
Yeah, for my mayonnaise, it's so easy because all the mayonnaises you buy, unless you buy the really expensive ones, they all have soybean oil.
Yeah.
I have a really expensive one.
Very expensive ones. But the avocado oil mayonnaise is really easy to make. And it gets nice and thick, and you can put salt and pepper, or you can put, if you want to put a little splash of stevia to sweeten it up just a tiny bit. It's okay. So, but then
And how long does it hold? How many days in the fridge?
Well, I've had it for 2 weeks and I haven't gotten sick. They say to keep it for a week because it's a raw egg.
Oh, sure.
But I have an iron gut, I swear. Nothing gives me the runs. I think I probably would have to drink a bottle of MCT oil.
Oh, I wish I had that trouble.
Me
No,
too.
No.
Me
But I use
too.
butter, and I love cooking my eggs in coconut oil. I love that flavor. If I don't have bacon grease.
I've never tried coconut oil.
But I went out, I finished a 3-day fast this afternoon, and I went out to lunch and had fresh catch. I had cobia fish. I'd never had cobia before.
I don't think I've ever heard of it before.
It's a Gulf of Mexico fish. I don't know if they have it other ways, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's firm, and it's, I guess the closest thing would be cod, but it's firmer than cod. Cod can sometimes be kind of soft and mushy.
Mhm.
but it wasn't oily. Like I was hoping it would be oily like flounder, but it wasn't. I mean, not flounder, like, oh, I can't think of it, but I thought it was gonna be,
Halibut.
Halibut?
yeah, I thought it was gonna be an oily fish, but it wasn't. So I asked for a cup of drawn butter,
Oh,
and I use that instead of tartar sauce because I know the tartar sauce is made with soybean oil.
so what is drawn butter, Jenny?
Well, when you get lobster, which you've never had, they give
I've
you a
never
little
had.
cup of like melted butter,
Okay.
Kinda
and
Like,
you dip it in.
yeah, it's kind of like,
Oh.
It's just melted butter.
yeah,
Oh,
like, ghee, but it's
Ghee,
melted.
yes, it's clear.
okay.
It's clear. It
Okay.
doesn't have the butter
Clarified
fat in
butter.
it. I mean,
Clarified
the
butter. Okay.
clarified butter.
Okay. I get that.
So that's what when
Well,
you,
It must taste quite a bit like lobster if you do that.
it
If
was
it's for a
delicious.
fish.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And they gave me like the Cape Cod kettle chips on the side, which I said I wanted a sandwich, but no bread. But it came with the lettuce and a little slice of tomato, which I ate, and I counted the 2 carbs that was.
Mhm.
But the kettle chips, when I looked it up on Chronometer, I only ate a few, like 5 or 6. Each kettle chip, and they're little tiny ones. They're not the big ones like Lay's.
Mhm.
Each chip is 0.9 grams of carbs. I said, I'm so glad I didn't eat all of them.
Yeah. I've done that with one French fry just so I could taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One French fry.
Mhm.
Do you know that
Right.
McDonald's French fries, they put sugar on them?
That's why they're the best.
That's why they're the best.
Mhm.
Oh no, you've ruined McDonald's French fries
I
for me,
know.
Julie. Well, I don't get French fries anywhere. I don't get them because can't eat them, just can't. But if my daughter gets French fries, I'm like, oh, give mommy one,
Just one.
just one. That's it. But they put sugar on them at McDonald's?
Yes. They
I
put
did not
salt
know.
and sugar.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Man. Yeah. Geez.
The best thing is just give it all up and
Yeah,
just
I can't eat them because I can't
focus on the
stop.
thing you can have.
Yeah. Focus on the things you can have
Yes.
and forget all those things that you can't have. So anyway, hey,
I get pretty sick anyway when I overindulge in I wouldn't say sick, but I just don't feel good. And it's really not worth it for me.
I
'cause
call it
I
a
was-
food hangover. The
Yeah.
next day, I have a
Yep.
food hangover. I don't know what a real hangover is
Me
like.
neither.
I'm really thankful that I've never been a drinker personally because, I have friends and clients who like their wine at night and they're like, but I can't have keto with my wine. I can't have wine with my keto. And I'm like, okay. To me, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm worrying about the chocolate,
Even
but
Dr. Boss says you can't have red wine. You just can't have you can have red or white as long as it's not the sweet, but you have to keep it occasional, just like with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like for me, I might like once a month, I might have my glass of wine just because I enjoy that. But what was hard for me was that my favorite wines were always the fruity wines, which are like super high in sugar and fat and sugar and carbs. So me switching to a dry wine was kind of difficult, but I have found one that I kind of like. And so about once a month, I probably have, a glass of red wine.
Mhm. Now I've tried wine before, but man, it blew my blood pressure just crazy. I
Yeah.
had a sip and whoosh. I mean, immediate heat and my head hurt. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
wine is not for me. Okay.
And Dr. Boss says that alcohol stops ketones productions.
Yeah.
So
I think she said once in one of her things that that it took her out of ketosis for 3 days. Just
Yeah.
one small glass of wine took her
no
out of
thanks.
ketosis. I'm like, not worth it. Not worth it.
Not
You
worth it.
Someday I'd like to talk more about that subject. She
Okay.
has said a couple of times that if you get off the wagon,
Uh,
you know, if you fall off the wagon, it goes, you fall pretty far down. You fall pretty far down. It takes a while to get back on again.
mhm. Yeah,
It's like she says that your cells don't forget
no.
what they used to do with that sugar, and they
Mhm.
immediately pick right back up again.
It's
Yeah,
Using
they're
it.
yum,
like,
yum,
oh,
yum.
yeah, well,
Say
the
what?
thing is, it's yum, 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 Jenny said.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the thing is I think, because she calls it twigs, sugar is twigs and stuff.
Yeah.
Twigs just catch fire so quickly and they just go. The body doesn't have to work that hard, as long as it's got enough twigs to make a fire. But with ketones, it has to work to get it going and the fire roaring and everything. So of course, I mean, it's like everybody, hey, if I can use frozen avocado rather than having to pick them and cut them and put them in freezer bags and everything, I'm, that I can just buy it at the store. It's easier, so anyway, so go ahead,
I
Patricia.
have one more thing. I know we're running out of time.
Mhm.
I hope I'm not stopping your program, but I now know that Ginny was part of that group down there in Florida. And so
Oh, were
Ginny,
you?
you
Yes,
were sitting.
I was so blessed. I live
Yeah,
an hour
wow.
away from where she has her office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So
jealous.
she is wonderful in person.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So the thing is, when I was listening on Tuesday, the sound was bad. And it
Oh,
was in and out, in and out. And she got on this topic about the keto rash.
Oh, I can
oh,
tell you
And I,
about that. Whatever question you have,
yes, that's because I've never heard her talked about the keto rash before.
she does have a video on it though.
Mhm.
There is a video.
So those people, they were all saying that they had it.
No, just one.
Okay.
Just one person. And when she got it, she cut her carbs down right to 20, below 20 immediately. And in about a week and a half, she started getting this rash on her back. And it's because she cut them down so quickly that it's Dr. Boz explained it as it's a fungal infection because you have all this sugar in your body. The fungus has to try to get out through the skin, and it goes in through the layers of the skin till it gets outside. She says, so, but if you don't use fungal creams, you don't use steroids, the steroids makes your body think it's well, but it
Yes.
just removes the inflammation. But the fungus has to work its way out. But if you fast, it works it out faster. She said you can use stuff to control the itch because it itches terribly, but it's the fungus, it's all the sugar that's in your body when you cut your carbs out quickly, immediately.
Mhm.
But the worst thing to do is eat extra carbs, because then it makes the rash kind of sink back in further down into the skin again.
Yeah,
But
I got a
she said it was
little,
very itchy.
I got some keto rash on my neck.
I got some on my chin. I mean, on my
Right.
cheek, right here.
I got some on my neck during the summer, and I realized, ooh, I had cheated a couple of days before with too many carbs, and then I decided to go cold turkey and have no carbs for like 3 days, and then I got this rash, and oh, the itch is a
Yeah.
real thing, real.
That's Jeannie, that's what she seemed to be saying, that if you're doing fine, it's going away. And then if you flub up, if you have a little bit of sugar, then you get that mitochondria acts up again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, what she says is just to stay the course and try to stay strict, but don't say, well, I'm going to eat carbs and make it go away, because then it might just come back again. But just steady yourself is basically what she was saying.
Yeah, steady. It is getting after 8, but I do want to recognize that Wilma is here, and I'm going to ask if Wilma would like to unmute and say anything. And then I'd also like to welcome Melody. Melody is a newbie to keto. She hasn't started yet. She's getting there, starting to read books and everything, but I invited her to come and listen to our group. And she can unmute if she wants and say, hey. But Wilma, would you like to add anything to our discussion about fat? You've been quietly listening there.
Well, you do everything I do on my fat. I eat eggs and bacon and steak and with lots of butter on the steak.
Mhm.
And we eat fish, salmon a lot. Nuts I can't keep in the house very much for me because they're a trigger food for me. I get into them too much. So instead of a handful, it might be the bag full at one shot. But the peely nuts, I'm going to give those a try.
Yeah, they sound interesting. They sound interesting. And if Scott wants to try them, I might try a few, but if they cause problems, I'm out.
Well,
Anyway,
they're different because they are sprouted and then they're roasted, so it's
okay.
a different process. It's not a raw nut. It's more like a cooked nut.
Okay.
It's
Where
different.
do you get them, Julie?
I get them off Amazon.
Oh, not in the grocery store. Okay.
No, I've never seen them in,
Well, I
we
haven't
live
seen
in,
them. Okay.
we live in
Well,
North Dakota. We don't have
yeah.
anything like that here. So
Yeah. Jenny, we know our little grocery stores would fit inside your houses if your houses are small. Okay. If you've got a 7,000 square foot house,
Oh
I'm
no, my house
sorry.
is 600 square feet. It's tiny.
Yeah,
that is
well,
tiny.
that's about our stores here. Julie and I and Scott, we all live in small town, USA,
gotcha.
very small town.
Well,
So
I'm much smaller than her, but where I work has a bigger grocery store.
yes. But so if we want anything exotic, we have to order. We have to order. So
Either that or travel the hour and a half to go to the nearest, 45 minutes to the nearest Walmart. But if you want to do anything else, then it's an hour and a half one way or the other.
yeah.
Wow.
So we'll I've asked Melody if she wants to unmute, but she hasn't. We'll give her another second. And she can listen to this whole thing because she came in a little late and then I don't know, she dropped off. Maybe the internet was not good at her place. So she can listen to the whole thing on replay when I post it and everything, but I don't think she wants to talk to us. So now next week, I thought we would discuss what our meal plans are for the holiday weekend, because some of us have family coming from out of town and we've got to feed them and they expect carbs. And others of us will be going to someone else's home for the meal. And how are you going to steer past the sweet potatoes, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, all the pies and the alcohol and everything. So,
Melody
oh,
just mentioned.
yeah, Melody just messaged and she says her concern is about how to start cutting down carbs as she's been checking what she eats. So anybody want to give Melody, I don't know this for sure, but she might be in the 200 club. Most of us were when we started. So anybody want to give Melody ideas, words of encouragement as she starts to cut down? Nobody?
Well, Melody, it's chronometer, if you have it, really does help because then you can see what's in it before you consume it to see if you really, really want that or if you would like something with less carbs that's more satisfying. I kind of look at it, I put it in chronometer and I'm like, oh, do I want that other tablespoon of mayonnaise or would I rather have a hunk of cheese, or something like that. And using the chronometer really has quit. My dog here is still talking. The chronometer won't let you download. Oh, that's kind of sad. I would dump it out and bring it back in and see if it'll let you do
Yeah.
it. Because some people have problems with the password as well. But I would just uninstall it and reinstall it back in and see if that doesn't help.
Yeah.
But that does, I mean, that's one of the things, and my daughter was in the 200 club as well, but she's not finding it hard when you really start looking at using your meats and your cheeses and things to accompany each other. So she's not finding it too difficult to, she's actually nursing a child. So for her, she needs to stay about around 50 carbs, just keep that in there. But, and note down only like 10 points at a time. Don't try to dump it all at once. Cause like you said, you got the keto rash, you got the keto flu, and you do get sick. It's not worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you'll take the time to just slowly eat what you currently have, and then as you're getting rid of the stuff you're not supposed to have, start replacing that with the keto friendly foods, you're number one less likely to come across a lot of the faults and problems with like the keto flu and some of these other things. And that's what I did, and it was an amazing, made a huge difference. I didn't feel quite as deprived as I was expecting to. It was a little bit of an easier transition. Now, I will say, when I decided that, well, I don't know if I really want to do this, and I cheated, yeah, I paid for it. So, but don't just crash into this. Ease your body into it, because your body will go into a huge shock if you try to just go poof overnight, because your body, it has a memory of what it thinks is correct. So you have to teach it what is correct. So slow into it. Just eat what you have, and as you get rid of the bad stuff, replace it with the keto good stuff.
Okay. So,
And may I say something?
sure, Jenny, go ahead.
Well, I would suggest, if you are used to having a sandwich for lunch, cut it down to one piece of bread and put extra meat and extra fat and extra mayo on it. So it's more fatty, so it's more satisfying. And start cutting out the white stuff. All the cereals it's all carbs. And of course, try to cut down on your bread and cut down on your servings of rice or potatoes or something like that. And even sweet potatoes, and stay with the vegetables and stay with the fruit. And then after a few weeks, start cutting those back a little bit. But and once you measure on chronometer, Dr. Boss says to measure exactly what you're eating now, your normal eating, for 7 days, so that you can see where the carbs are and what you can start cutting out without saying, oh, well, I don't really want that, so I'm not hungry for it. But when you start cutting out carbs, start increasing your fat level, because that's the satiety that makes you feel full and feel not hungry later on.
Right.
So
I think Jenny's very right there. If your normal breakfast is 2 eggs and a bowl of oatmeal, cut out the oatmeal, add another egg.
Yeah.
Or if it's 2 eggs and 2 pieces of toast, cut it down to 1 piece of toast for a week, and then no toast for a week, and add another egg. And like she said, if you eat a sandwich at lunch every day, then make it just 1 piece of bread with your sandwich, and double up on your veg and your meat.
Maybe even wrapping rather than using bread, using a piece of lettuce as your wrap.
Yeah, eventually we'll get to lettuce
and later
wrapping,
on do
but
that.
at first, just cut out one of the pieces of bread. That cuts the carb of that meal in half almost. And then I don't know what people eat for supper, but I used to eat, a cup of rice or 2 cups of rice, and that's 88 carbs. Oh,
Yeah.
In just the rice at my supper time, so, and she says, okay, I don't have normal eating habits. Usually 1 meal a day and
Nobody
snacking
does.
is what I need to cut out. However, I picked up more white stuff as my time for eating is limited. Yeah. So I don't know. What does the group think? She says, I don't have normal eating habits. So she's not doing 3 meals a day, which we'd say, wow, if you were
Yeah.
keto adapted, that'd be great. But she's not keto adapted, but she snacks.
Yeah.
So maybe she needs to go to 3 meals a day and try and spread them out so she doesn't snack so much until she's keto adapted. What do you guys think?
Maybe adding in celery with some sun butter. That'll up the protein and up her fats and make her feel full.
Oh, no, you
Okay.
don't need to fail. We're not gonna let you do
Nope, nope,
that.
nope. You're
You
not
stick to
set up
the-
to fail. You're coming at it from a completely different angle. I work in Chinese medicine and deal with people at all different levels of health issues and dietary issues. And it's not a matter of pass or fail. It's a matter of you have to just do it with a different approach. That's all.
Mhm.
It's not a pass or fail.
So if you don't want to go to eating 3 regular meals and cutting out snacking, what you could do is exchange all your snack goods for non-white carby things into fat and protein things like Renee was
meat
saying.
sticks and cheese sticks and
Yeah, meat
Yeah.
sticks and cheese
meat
sticks and
sticks.
celery sticks with peanut butter or almond butter or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, and you can keep your 1 meal a day, but change it around. I liked the 2-hour
every
eating
2 hours.
thing.
Are you a CNA or a nurse?
Yes, she knows. Yes, she is.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell.
I know what you're talking about. I work EMS, and so some days I may not get to eat when I want to eat, but you have to make that adjustment for you because that's your lifestyle. And if you work nights, that's totally different night style. A totally different eating style because you eat when regular people don't, and you're off of your baseline metabolism as far as being up during the daylight and at sleep at night. So I understand that. I've done it many, many years, but
Yeah.
my thing was make your meal for you yourself if you have time, because that's what threw me off the first time is I went to a conference over the weekend and it was all carbs, the sweet treats, the sandwiches, the muffins, the donuts, the coffee,
Yeah.
it was like there wasn't a keto thing to be found. And I think that you need to really pay attention to what you can bring for yourself and make sure that's available for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, always bring your own food. I'm a nurse also. And I worked 16-hour shifts. Well, sometimes 12-hour shifts, sometimes 16, sometimes even 20-hour shifts. I always had to take my own food, even when I wasn't keto, because sometimes there just wasn't anything at all available. And when it was cookies and donuts, or patient's family would bring in pizzas for thank yous and things like that. But I would say, whatever you're eating now, even if you don't have chronometer, write it down and say, well, these are carbs and these are carbs and these are carbs. And after a week, then say, which ones can you cut out, but replace it with something fatty because it will make you more satisfied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
You
then
can do this, Melanie.
cutting down on the snacks a little bit and keep your 2-hour eating windows. The 2-hour eating is way high up on the keto continuum.
Yeah. And, we're here, Melody will be here every Wednesday. And starting in January, I'm going to do an online support group for newbies going through Dr. Boz's workbook, just newbies. But starting in January, but don't wait till January to start, Melody, and you can still take the class with me. I'm going to continue to do Keto Confab, but I've had too many people say I need someone to walk the road with me from the beginning. So I'm willing to do that starting after the new year.
I can guarantee you I would not have made it back there, Elizabeth, had you not kind of been there to help me along the process. I would never have made it.
I dragged Renee into this kicking and screaming, let me tell you.
Good for
She
you.
really did. She really did. I was kicking and screaming the whole way.
Yes, the whole way. And, you know, but I have to praise her. Is it 80 pounds now, Renee, that you've lost, or 70? Yeah,
80 pounds
yeah. And
since
she's doing
February.
great since February. She's doing great. And so, you know, it's been good. And I'm willing to do that. I'm friends with Renee, and I am friends with Melody. And we go
Melody
way
goes,
back.
good for you. Yay, exclamation points, Renee.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, you know, I'm going to start this group in January that will go through it with newbies and stuff. But this is going to be our group for people who've walked the path and struggled and can relate. Yes, Jenny.
I think I would recommend that Melanie, if she doesn't have Dr. Boz's books, to at least get her workbook and now go through the steps with her. That would help her a lot. I really think, Melanie. You started today. Great.
Yeah.
Now don't try to skip over the steps too fast.
That's right.
when people fall
Yeah,
off
Don't
quickly.
skip. Do
Don't
each
skip.
step. Do each
Yes.
step. She got stuck on the why. Well, that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, you just started today. It took me weeks to figure out my why, other than I want to lose weight and I want to be healthy, you know, but that was really, you know, starting keto just to lose weight
Is not a
is
good idea.
fine. Well, it's fine for the beginning, you know,
At
but in the
right-
long haul, we're going to have to get, you know, something deeper, but that's okay. We can start with, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, that's really, well, after I read Dr. Boz's books, it's like, I have to do this for my life, you know,
Yes.
to save my life, because I was unhealthy. Oh, we lost her.
My additional reason ended up being that I want to be around for my grandson.
Yeah.
I want to be able to play with him, and I couldn't get on the floor and play with him.
Yeah. I couldn't either with my grandsons, but now I'm much more limber. So anyway, well, it's almost 8:30 and we should stop. And I'll see whoever is able next Wednesday. We're not going anywhere. So we'll be here next Wednesday. And now see, Melody just said, thanks, Beth. Now see, there's another nickname. Melody has known me since grade school. We went through all 8 grades of school together in elementary school. We've known each other since then. So, and I was Beth way back then, and I hate the name Beth. So just all of you people remember that. I don't like Beth. And
Ooh, I'm gonna have to remember that one.
And I particularly loathe the nickname of Liz or Lizzie. So just beware. Anyway,
you might get
all
cold
right.
in your stocking if you use one of those 2 terms. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. Yeah. All right. All right, people. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week, Wednesday. Keep up the good work. Everybody be strong. And if you have a slip up, it's okay. We'll get right
Start
back on
over
that
again.
horse. Right, Julie? We should get right back on the horse.
You know
right?
that. That's
Yeah,
right.
we know. All right.
Although the last time I got bucked off, I did not get back on the horse because I kind of wound up with 3 broken ribs and a shattered collarbone. So that did not go well.
No, yeah, I would say. All right, well, take care, everybody. I'm going to turn the recording off. Stop recording.